Somewhere in your basement or in a closet you never open, there is a steel tank full of hot water quietly dying. And in about 6 years, give or take, it is going to fail. Not gracefully. It is going to split at a weld seam at 2 in the morning and empty 40 gallons of rusty water across your floor, your drywall, maybe the carpet in the room below it if you live in a 2-story house. You'll call a plumber. He'll shake his head at the tank like a doctor looking at an X-ray, and he'll tell you it's just old. He'll quote you $1,400 for a new one, installed, and you'll pay it, because what choice do you have? Water heaters just wear out. That's what everyone believes. Here's the part nobody tells you standing in that flooded basement. Your tank didn't die of old age. It died because a 12-inch rod inside it, one that costs about $25, finished dissolving 4 or 5 years before the tank actually failed. And once that rod was gone, your tank started rusting from the inside on a clock that nobody was watching. I want to start at the end of this story with the flooded basement and walk backward, because that's the only way this actually makes sense. The failure, backward. A steel water heater tank is not naturally rust-resistant. Bare steel in constant contact with heated water would perforate in 2 or 3 years, fast enough that nobody would ever buy one. So manufacturers build in a sacrificial rod, called an anode, made of a metal more reactive than steel, usually magnesium, sometimes aluminum, occasionally aluminum zinc. That rod corrodes on purpose, in place of your tank, through a process called galvanic corrosion. As long as that rod exists, your tank is protected. The moment it's fully consumed, the tank itself becomes the next most reactive metal in the water, and it starts eating itself instead. Manufacturers know exactly how long that rod lasts in an average municipal water supply. It's usually 3 to 5 years. Your tank is warrantied for 6, sometimes 12. And the reason that math works out fine for them is simple. The rod is a serviceable part, exactly like an oil filter or a furnace igniter, but it's buried inside a fitting on top of the tank that most homeowners have never noticed, don't know is removable, and have never once been told to check. I'm going to be straight with you about something before I go any further, because I think it matters. I don't believe there's a memo somewhere that says, hide the anode rod from customers. I don't think that's how this works. What I think happened is quieter and, in a way, worse. Nobody had a financial reason to tell you. The plumber who installs your water heater makes his margin on the installation, not on a $25 part he'd have to explain to you in a follow-up visit he isn't getting paid for. The manufacturer's warranty period is calculated to expire close to when the tank would need this service anyway, so there's no incentive built into the system for anyone to walk you through it. It's not a conspiracy. It's just that nobody's job is to tell you, and everybody's job is to sell you the next tank. The man who showed me the rod. Before I show you exactly what this rod looks like and how to check yours, I want to tell you about Emmett Sauer. Emmett ran a one-man plumbing outfit out of Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, for 43 years, starting in 1974. He didn't advertise. He didn't have a truck with his name airbrushed on the side. He had a green ledger book, his son showed it to me, where he wrote down every water heater he ever touched, install date, address, water hardness if he'd tested it, and the date he pulled the anode rod for inspection. 311 tanks are logged in that book across 4 decades. Emmett's rule, which he apparently repeated to every customer whether they wanted to hear it or not, was this. Pull the rod at the 4-year mark. If it's gone, that tank is already dying and doesn't know it yet. His own water heater, installed in because he replaced the anode rod 8 times over 30-plus years. 8 rods. Roughly $200 total, spread across 4 decades on a tank that a typical household replaces 3 or 4 times in that same span at $1,400 each. That's not a folk legend. That's not a YouTube exaggeration. That tank exists. It's a 1981 Ream, and it is, as far as anyone in that family can tell, one of the oldest continuously running residential water heaters in that part of Pennsylvania. Why this isn't fringe, I want to be clear. This isn't some alternative theory competing with plumbing science. It is plumbing science, just the unglamorous, unmarketed part of it. Sacrificial anode protection is standard galvanic corrosion engineering, the same principle used on ship hulls, buried pipelines, and bridge structures, all of which use sacrificial zinc or magnesium blocks to protect the more expensive metal around them. Every major tank manufacturer, Rheem, A.O. Smith, Bradford White, publishes anode rod specifications and replacement intervals in their technical service manuals. It's not hidden information. It's just information that lives in a PDF nobody reads instead of on a sticker anyone sees. The water conditions in your home change how fast this happens. Soft water, especially water that's been through a salt-based water softener, is more electrically conductive and will eat through a standard magnesium anode noticeably faster, sometimes in 2 to 3 years instead of 5. Homes on well water with high mineral content behave differently again. This is why there's no single universal number and why the pull it and look method beats any calendar guess. What the rod actually looks like when it's dying. When you pull a healthy anode rod, it still has a fairly uniform, thick silver-gray magnesium core running the length of it, wrapped around a steel support wire. As it sacrifices itself, it gets visibly eaten away, thinner in the middle, sometimes down to bare exposed wire in sections, occasionally coated in a chalky white or gray calcium buildup. When it's fully spent, you'll see the steel core wire almost completely exposed, with barely any magnesium left clinging to it, sometimes with chunks that have broken off and settled at the bottom of your tank. Here's the uncomfortable part, and I want to say this plainly instead of hyping it up. If your rod looks like that, your tank has already been rusting, quietly, for some unknown stretch of time before you checked. This isn't a guaranteed save in every case. It's a save if you catch it in time, and it's a strong argument for checking now rather than waiting for a warning sign, because there usually isn't one until the leak. The procedure. Here's exactly how Emmett did it, and how I've done it on my own tank. First, safety. Turn off the power to the water heater, the breaker if it's electric, the gas valve to pilot or off if it's gas. Turn off the cold water supply valve into the tank. Attach a hose to the drain valve near the bottom and run it somewhere safe, and drain off roughly 5 to 10 gallons. You don't need to empty the whole tank, just enough to drop the water level below the anode fitting so you're not fighting 40 gallons of pressure when you pull the rod. The anode rod is almost always under a hex head plug on the top of the tank, sometimes disguised under the plastic cap, sometimes combined with the hot water outlet nipple in newer combo designs. You'll need a 1 1/16-inch socket in most cases, and, this is the part people underestimate, a serious amount of leverage, because these are torqued down hard at the factory and have often been sitting untouched for years. A breaker bar or a socket wrench with a length of pipe slid over the handle for extra torque is standard here. An impact wrench makes this trivial if you have access to one. Once it's loose, you may not have room to pull the rod straight up if you have low basement ceilings. This is common. Segmented, flexible anode rods exist specifically for this situation. They can bend around joists as you pull them out. Pull the rod. Inspect it using what I described a moment ago. If more than half the magnesium is gone, or the steel wire is significantly exposed, replace it. A standard 44-inch magnesium anode rod runs somewhere between $15 and $30 depending on brand and length. This is where the $25 figure in the title comes from, and it holds up in the real world. If you're on a water softener and eating through rods fast, an aluminum zinc rod lasts longer, though it's slightly less protective per the manufacturer data, or a powered titanium anode. More expensive, $40 to $90, but it never sacrificially dissolves and never needs replacing again, which some people find worth the extra cost. Wrap the new rod's threads in Teflon tape, thread it back in, torque it down, close the drain valve, refill the tank fully before restoring power. This last part matters, because running an electric water heater's heating element dry will burn it out immediately. Restore power, check for leaks at the fitting after it's back up to temperature. Total time for someone doing this the first time: about 90 minutes, most of that spent breaking the old rod loose. Second time, 20 minutes. What this won't fix, I want to be honest about the limits here, because overselling this does nobody any favors. If your tank is already leaking, this will not unrust it. The damage is done, and you need a new tank. If your tank is old enough that the anode has never once been changed, and it's already past 10 or 12 years, pulling the rod might reveal a tank that's already too far gone to be worth saving. And in some of those cases, you'll find sediment and rust flakes coming out that tell you the story before you even get the rod fully out. This is prevention, not resurrection. It works because you get ahead of the corrosion, not because it reverses it. It also won't help if your actual problem is sediment buildup from never flushing the tank, which is a separate maintenance item, or if your issue is a failing heating element or thermostat, which have nothing to do with the anode at all. Recomputing the number. Let's do the actual math, because vague savings claims aren't worth much. A typical household replaces a water heater roughly every 8 to 12 years. Over a 30-year span in a house, that's 2 to 3 replacements at roughly $1,400 installed today. Call it $3,500 to $4,200. Emmett's tank, on the other hand, has had roughly 8 anode changes over more than 40 years at $20 to $30 each, plus his own labor. Call it $200 spread across 4 decades for a tank that is still, right now, doing its job. That's the 15-year figure in the title, and honestly, it's conservative. Emmett's tank has outlived it by nearly double. What this actually means: the difference between someone who replaces a water heater every 8 years without asking why, and someone who understands what that tank is actually doing and why it fails, is the difference between being a customer and being someone who owns their home instead of just occupying it. This isn't really about $25. It's about the fact that almost everything in your house that just wears out has a reason it wears out, and usually that reason is a small, cheap, replaceable part that nobody told you existed. If you've made it this far, you're the kind of person who wants to know why things fail before you're standing in a flooded basement finding out the hard way. That's worth something. So do 2 things for me. First, go find your water heater's age. There's a sticker with a manufacture date or a serial number you can decode on the manufacturer's website in about 30 seconds. Drop your tank's age and whether you're on a water softener in the comments. I want to see how many of you are sitting on rods that have already been fully sacrificed without anyone knowing. Second, if this saved you